Welcome back to It's a Mic Full. I'm joined by the familiar faces of Johnny, Jaime, and Brad. Like advertised in our previous episode, we are going to dive deep into the All Decade team. We debate those that got in, those that are already in that still should be in, and we're also going to give you updates at UFC 249. As of April 9th, 2020, we already have new information that all UFC events will be postponed due to coronavirus until further notice. I know Dana White was spoken to by top ESPN and Disney, so basically media overlords, to not go forward with this event. Johnny, what's your initial reaction to this?
I mean, I kind of saw it coming, especially once Rose pulled out of her fight. I don't think they released any info on like why she pulled out, but I had a feeling it was because of the virus outbreak that she didn't feel comfortable fighting. Um,
Yeah, she actually had two family members die of coronavirus.
oh really?
Yeah, so that's what she was saying.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, well that's yeah, and then I think it had to do too with finding a spot to um, do the fights because obviously they still didn't have a location. Um, so maybe they were having trouble finding a location. I wouldn't want if I would like owned a stadium, I wouldn't want like someone fighting there and then someone get the virus in that stadium and then like you're known for the stadium that let them put on the show that got more people sick.
So, what do you think this means for the Khabib and Ferguson card itself? I mean, that means it's still back on the table. I doubt they're still going to make the fight against Gaethje. What does that mean for that card?
I think it opens the door for Khabib Ferguson to actually go down in the future. Um, I don't know what the contract's like for the Ferguson and Gaethje because it did say it was for the um, uh, was it
Interim
interim
belt?
interim bout. So I don't know if Gaethje would be pissed, and maybe take legal action if they just pull him out and then don't give him that title shot, even though it's not technically a title shot. So I mean, they could just have them two run it, but I know Ferguson wants Khabib, so and I mean, if it now that they canceled it, does kind of open the door for it to be set like later this year or whenever they want to do it. But all I'm saying is they better stack that first card back. That's all I want. This card was stacked on a short notice. They left us all with blue balls. But
Yeah, especially if Dana White was advertising prior to this moment that the card was going to be the greatest of all time.
oh yeah,
So now that he has even more time, because when we released, even with the Ferguson and Gaethje card, this wasn't going down as the greatest card of all time. But now that he has more time, I mean, I think this could be like if the July card and the December cards have a baby, I think this could be that card. I mean, he's got to do that.
honestly, they could do like 3 title fights on it, maybe most likely. So it's like, I mean, because if I'm just gonna go ahead and say like the Cejudo card gets canceled, which is UFC 250, then that's another title fight that could be on it. Um, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Khabib Ferguson, and then on the undercard Connor and Gaethje.
Yeah, that'd be like these are things that it's got to be a mega super fight.
Yeah.
Like,
But at the same time, Connor's a big enough superstar where he would be the main event on even if it was just a fight night, like he'd be the main event.
I'm
So I mean,
dying to watch something that I don't know the outcome to.
you know, even before, um, like when this card was gonna happen, just yesterday or this morning, um, I was still upset that they were charging for this card, like a pay-per-view. Like people are at home not working, worrying about if they're even getting a next check, and now they're going to charge for a pay-per-view. I
Yeah,
mean, I think they should have just made it a free card because I mean they're going to get a bunch of views from everyone staying home, and it's not like they'll probably get more views just because people aren't going to hang out with their friends and watch it all together on one screen. I mean, they'll get more views, but no one's gonna want to, pay for a pay-per-view, especially when, for the most part, they go somewhere and watch it. They go split it with their friends, whatever they do. Like, I think the it could have hurt the views for them.
Yeah, my biggest problem was that, man, that's a bummer because you normally, hey, how about I get the fight, you get the drinks, you get the food. Someone's pitching in. You even maybe like, hey, tip the host, let's get some $5 in here, ease with that payment. But now it's just you. I think it's gonna up the trying to find a stream. It's gonna mess with that. It's only the only sporting event, so you can easily track that. I mean, I do agree with you. People are struggling. We need this. It's not like we got anything else.
Did you hear about Kobe Covington? Tyron Woodley said he wanted more. Covington was asking for more than McGregor money because they were trying to get him versus Woodley on the 249 card, and Woodley came out and said that he was wanting like Conor McGregor money more than that, and then it's like he's not going to get that.
Yeah,
then,
I saw that where he said.
And then Covington said he was asking to be the main event, that he's not some undercard, especially to like those two, Ferguson and Gaethje.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
He's such a fucking goofball. Like, the guy's got his head in the clouds. Even the fucking girls that he pays to be in his fucking Instagram pictures don't even want to be around him. Like, what the fuck's this guy think?
Makes sense. Yeah, I thought that was surprising. I get it, Kobe with this whole new personality, the whole MAGA thing. We all know it's a show. First of all, we all know it's some gimmick that he's trying to, recreate his career. But he's still not even at like close to Conor's level. And I get like, oh, well, I'm just not below that. You're not even there either. Yeah, you pissed off enough people where they want to see your face get beat in. But I think he's a knockoff Conor McGregor, like trying to do the same thing, but it felt more genuine when Conor did it because it was like from the get-go of, I'm going to say what I want and I don't care.
There's a lot of those now. There's a lot of guys like that now. Masvidal called out Askren.
As some of you may know, with recent news changing, it turned a Mike Full family upside down, and we got Brad here coming home from work. Had to get his reaction to this. Brad, how do you feel about the UFC 249 being canceled?
First and foremost, I apologize if there is any audio issues on this recording. My Jeep is not the most quiet of vehicles. Initial reactions of course, disappointment. It's just upsetting. UFC 249 was supposed to be the return to not just combat sports, but sports in general, getting some normalcy back into this country and the world, to be honest. I've heard rumors that there's going to, like, soccer is about to start back up in Germany because they're one of the countries that got a handle on this whole virus thing. But who really cares about soccer? So the UFC was supposed to be a great return to, sports in general, and it's just disappointing to see it fall apart like this. I know the card was kind of falling apart anyway with Khabib not being able to make it. Rose Namajunas just dropped out last night. Today's Thursday when we're recording. Obviously, we knew none of this information Sunday when we recorded our initial podcast. Rose Namajunas actually had 2 family members pass away from coronavirus, so she was going to take the fight off due to personal reasons, obviously. I don't know if she'll ever hear this, but of course we wish her all the best. Just tough though. Even any card would have been a great card. It's just disappointing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, even a blowout fight, like just something. Give us some live entertainment right now. The country desperately needs it. Obviously, obviously fighter health and safety is extremely important. I really just personal reasons, just the way that I think about or the way that I think Dana White is as a human being. I don't think he gave a shit about fighter health and safety, trying to get this card going at this time in the country. Today when we're recording it, likely before this week's out, likely before Saturday, we're going to top 500,000 cases of coronavirus in the nation. So I think Dana White was really only concerned about his wallet. That's more of a personal opinion at this point, but combat sports is not a way to social distance. You're standing, if you're standing 6 feet away from a fighter, you're probably doing something wrong in the combat sports world. Anybody that's trained any type of martial arts, maybe not striking so much, but definitely like wrestling and jujitsu, if you're standing there trying to hold somebody down, shit happens, especially when you add in the striking like MMA does, obviously, with blood flowing, trying to grapple with somebody. Really is in their best interest, to be perfectly honest, as bugged out as I am.
Yeah, and to bring up the good point of Dana White and looking out for possibly his wallet over the health of his fighters, this time brought a weird feeling of, when you said it, I felt guilty, but I looked to Dana White as a hero in this moment of bringing, like you said, normalcy back to our lives, without thinking of how selfish I was being as well to the fighters. I never even once, put it in that perspective. I just figured, oh, well, it's obviously got to be legit. There's got to be sterile. It's got to be this and that. But it's so impossible, like you said, to even keep this controlled in that kind of setting.
In my personal opinion, it was extremely selfish of Dana White to even be thinking about it. Yeah, I was fucking pumped. Am I going to sit on my high horse and say, oh, I'd never watch UFC 49? Fuck no. Of course I was going to be watching it.
In a dream world, they take the best parts of all of the cards coming up. They're going to have to cancel some of the UFC on ESPN, UFC Fight Night cards, and cancel them in order to keep up with the pay-per-view schedule that obviously is predetermined ahead of time. They take all of the mains and the co-mains, depending on how great the fights are, and put it on one big super fight card as just like a blowout. Realistically, will that happen? I don't think so. Who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully they work out the kinks for Khabib and Ferguson. Obviously that's the fight everyone wants. That's the fight that's been canceled 5 times now. That's the one to bring it back. Maybe timelines work out where July, International Fight Week, we get that card on International Fight Week as a huge blowout return to combat sports, and a return to life in Vegas in general too. That would be fantastic. I think that is a little bit more realistic than my dream card scenario. But it would be cool to see. It would be really neat. But who knows? Who knows where the country's going to be in 3 months, when International Fight Week's always scheduled to be. Who knows?
The last question I want to ask you, and I didn't ask anyone else, but I think you'd be a good person, is for the people out there that were just itching for a fight. I know I'm one of them. It's something I recommend, especially during this time, if you're missing it. But UFC Fight Pass, they have a bunch of fights. Can you give me at least a couple great main cards that people could fill in right now, kind of just, get their mouth watering?
I don't know if 248's up on there yet. If 248's up on there, obviously shut it off when the main event comes on, because nobody, unless you really like falling asleep to the fights, then Adesanya Romero is a fantastic one to fall asleep to. But that entire card was just front to back bangers. Just an incredible fight card. If you really are itching for some MMA action. And I'm trying to remember, I don't remember what number it is off the top of my head. To be honest, I want to say the BMF card was a good one too, when
Masvidal versus Diaz. Yeah, that one was because I think it was just a fight night for that one.
Oh no, that one was a pay-per-view.
Oh no,
that was,
it was 244, UFC 244.
There you go. Yeah, that one, if I'm recalling it correctly, that was a very good card. I want to say, oh man, I'm trying to remember the last like utterly amazing card. Let me put you on speakerphone and pull up the last UFC cards because I want to get this right. I'm remembering a fight card that I've never been so pumped for.
I would even say the Masvidal Askren card was a good one because it had, if I'm remembering this correctly, I'm kind of with you. I want to.
Masvidal Askren, I do remember that card being an absolute banger. I don't remember.
239s. It was the John Jones Santos, Nunes, and Holmes, and Masvidal versus Askren.
Yes, that was a good one. The one in January was good as well. Just watch all of them. I mean, really, just watch whatever you can. Let me look through 247 Jones Reyes, an amazing card. I want to say the McGregor Cowboy card was really good as well. Oh, that's the one. December 14th, UFC 245, Usman versus Covington. Watch that card. Amazing card. Other than that, I mean, just watch all of them. You can't go wrong with any of the UFC cards. There's always some hidden gems here and there. Always some good fights.
And that brings us to our next segment. The NFL just released an all-time decade team. Hamed, do you want to begin starting with the coaches?
Yeah. So the coaches are right. You know, like Abe said, it's Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick. The quarterbacks, you have Tom Brady. Unanimous, he was voted. Another quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. For running backs, you got Frank Gore, Marshawn Lynch, LaShawn McCoy, and unanimously voted in another running back, Adrian Peterson. Wide receivers, we got Antonio Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, and Julio Jones. So they did add a flex position on here for offense, and they voted Darren Sproles. Tight ends, we got Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelce. Offensive tackles, we got Jason Peters, Tyron Smith, Joe Staley, and unanimously Joe Thomas. Offensive guard, we got Jerry Evans, Logan Mankins, Zach Martin, and unanimous Marshall Yonda. For our centers, we got Alex Mack and Mo Pouncey. Defense, yeah, that's offense. You want to do defense, Johnny, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I'll go over it.
All right, go for it.
So hold on, give me 1 second.
I like this middle school presentation, handing it off, by the way. Do you have note cards?
Fuck yeah.
As you can see on this PowerPoint, Johnny, do you want to take over? This is your section.
So defense, for defensive ends, we got Calais Campbell, Cam Jordan, Julius Peppers, and J.J. Watt. For the D tackles, we got Geno Atkins, Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald, and Ndamukong Suh. Inside linebacker, we got Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner, Patrick Willis. Outside linebacker, Chandler Jones, Khalil Mack, Von Miller. Corners, Patrick Peterson, Darrelle Revis, Richard Sherman. Safeties, Eric Berry, Earl Thomas, Eric Weddle. And they just have a defensive backs section. It's Chris Harris and Tyrann Mathieu. And then for the special teams, they got Johnny Hecker, Shane Leckler for punters. Kickers are Steven Gostowski and Justin Tucker. Punt returners is Tyreek Hill and Darren Sproles. And kick returners Devin Hester and Cordell Patterson.
Yep, there you go.
All right. So, first off, Gabe, do you have any problems with the list, or do you feel like anyone was left off?
I think one of mine, and it was because an NFL player, a Niner, Kyle Kuchek, tweeted out, "Oh, fullbacks didn't play in the decade," and I agreed with that.
Yeah.
And so I have Marcel Reese should definitely be in the all-decade team as a fullback. Is that yours, Johnny?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I just
No,
mentioned that.
no, you
I-
piece
I-
of
I-
shit.
I just mentioned that
Singleton.
like fullback should have been on the list, but I didn't name any.
You
Is
know
that
what?
you have any others, Gabe?
No, most I agree with. I think wide receivers. My boy Larry Fitzgerald should have been in there.
He
He's
isn't.
on.
He was, yeah.
He was? Oh, then that's
Yeah.
Oh my god. You told me.
I'm
shit.
pretty sure he was unanimously in there.
Yeah, nice
Was he?
paying it.
No, he wasn't.
okay. Because I was gonna say I thought it was like Julio and Antonio Brown that got unanimously.
Brad, you got any issues?
You know, I know fucking fuck all about football, but honestly, like one of the names I'm surprised didn't pop up was Janikowski, and maybe you guys can explain why he didn't make the list for kickers.
Oh, good question. Good question.
Because the Raiders are always looked down upon.
Yeah, but he
I
had a
think
lot of time to fucking kick.
He-
I think also
He-
because it was just the end of the decade that he wasn't.
yeah, I think he was only with us up until 2013.
Yeah, and then at that point he started to fall off. So
Yeah, I think he went to the Seahawks for a season, but didn't do much there.
Oh, we had him to 2017, but I think
Oh,
at the
2017.
point of early 2000 and like
I know he had injuries.
yeah,
But he
By,
still
like,
matched the record
2014.
for longest field goal in this decade.
was it in this decade?
It was. I'm looking at it right now. It's 2011.
I know it was in like Denver. I think.
How
I mean,
quickly
he was our leading scorer for years.
God, that's so sad.
That should count for
Probably
something.
got it in the 2000s as well for kicker. So they're like, damn, we can't get him back to back.
Yeah.
You know, that makes sense. That I could totally see that. But
So-
yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. Jaime?
I have a problem with LaShawn McCoy being in there. It's just like I'm not sure. Like when you put him like with Marshawn, Adrian Peterson, like LaShawn McCoy, he did great. Like what, 2 years maybe with Philly or a year? Because early in his career he was injured a lot. When
Well,
Chip
who
Kelly,
would you put in there instead of him?
that's the thing. It's like when I think about it, I'm like I can't really remember at that time, but it's like I feel like I don't know, man. I mean, if we're putting LaShawn McCoy up there and he had like maybe in a decade, let's say he had like maybe 4 good years, and if we're just comparing that to another running back who had maybe 4 good years along with him, you know, then it shouldn't be as hard to do. You know, I just can't remember at this point. If
That's because they're really like to have 4 good years. I mean, if you had more than that or equal to, you're on that list right now.
I mean, I feel like, look, even Ezekiel Elliott has been in the league for 3 years. You know what I mean? And he's like, sure, it's been the end of it, but compare that to like I'm not a Cowboy fan or anything, but him to LaShawn McCoy, you know? I mean, what happened to Jamal Charles? You know, I think Jamal Charles should have been there over LaShawn McCoy. Honestly.
I mean, everyone remembers the most recent past more fondly. So I feel like a lot of stars most recently made it onto that list with like a few exceptions, Frank Gore obviously being one of them. But I feel like that's a big thing too, is like your most recent success.
I thought Frank Gore is on the list.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
on the list, yeah. But I
Okay.
mean, what has he done recently? Like, yeah, he was hot fire beginning of this decade, but
Yeah.
No.
Um,
Longevity.
you have anything else, Simon?
Let me see going down
And-
this. I'm honestly surprised that none of your linemen are on here, any of the Raider linemen. Because I feel like, how many years has Gabe Jackson been in the league?
Oh, just like a couple of years.
Oh, really?
6.
Yeah.
He was 2014.
Is it?
I still think
Yeah.
like since
But he didn't start right away.
Mm-mm.
I don't know about for centers, dude. Like
I'd say Ronnie Hudson. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought Redney
yeah,
Hudson could have been in it.
Yeah. Or like
Um,
look for centers like Alex Mack.
I know Pouncey would have been in there because he's gotten like every Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Yeah.
I think it would be Rodney Hudson.
So I have 2 guys that I thought should have made the list. One is Jason Kelsey. He's been
Yeah.
he's
100%.
turning up. So I just want I just took Alex Mack for example in this. Alex Mack started a couple years before Jason Kelsey, and he got going. Like his first Pro Bowl was 3 years later, similar to Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
So, and then Alex Math in this decade has 6 Pro Bowls, or in the last decade has 6 Pro Bowls, 3 second-team All-Pros, no first-team All-Pros.
Hmm.
And Kelsey had 3 Pro Bowls, no second teams, but 3 first teams. And that's been 3 straight seasons. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
thought he should have made the list because, I mean, if they're just comparing their careers, Alex Math, they kind of got started on their like all pros like at the same time, like in their careers, like 3 years in.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Kelsey's just been more impressive. I thought he should have made the list. Not
Yeah.
taking anything from Alex Mack, but I thought Kelsey should have made the list.
Mhm.
And my other one, my big one, is corners. I don't understand why they have 4 running backs but only 3 corners,
Yeah. I was just
and
looking
then
at that.
and then a defensive back section, and then going off that, if they're going to have 3, I would take off Darrell Revis and put Joe Hayden. And I was looking at the stats in this decade. Darrell Revis has 15 interceptions. Joe Hayden has 27.
Mhm.
Pass defenses, Revis has 75. Hayden has 137. Forced fumbles, Revis 3. Hayden 6. Tackles, Revis 296. Hayden 525. And sacks, I mean, just a random stat out there. Revis 1 to Hayden's 3.
The
I thought-
only like
I thought
I
Joe even if even for like defensive backs, like they added that defensive back section where they threw Joe Hayden and Tyrann Mathieu. I think Joe
Yeah.
Hayden got snubbed off this list.
Yeah, I was about to say too, like I feel like the reason why they gave it to Darrell Revis is like even if you incorporate the completion percentage when throwing against them, I remember seeing it like maybe like the other day because I was like comparing it to something. I don't remember, but it was very comparable. And considering the fact that Darrell Revis, sure he had like his great seasons as a Jet, but like as soon as he left, let's not remember in Tampa he played okay, but then he sold, towards the end of that. He started going down. He went back to New England, or he went to New England. He balled out that year, right? And then he went back to the Jets after, and he just literally just stole their money. He played atrocious. Like people were just throwing the ball at him because he lost a step. He couldn't do anything,
Yeah. And
And Joe Hayden's been like you said, like he's more like I won't say
he's
he's
been consistent.
Yeah, he's consistent. And like, look, just because he's been around longer, he's been tested at. Darrell Revis was known as like Revis Island, so they would avoid throwing him the ball. And Joe Hayden was constantly being tested, and he was holding up. People didn't think that oh well we have to avoid Joe Hayden, so they throw it at him, and he would do his job. But as soon as Darrell Revis started getting tested, what happened in his last year with the Jets? He got wrecked.
Yeah. And even like last year, like they could say like, oh, like he's because Hayden's played more. He's played 3 more seasons this decade.
Yeah.
But overall, his stats are better. And then
He's been more consistent.
even like his last season, he had 5 interceptions
Mhm.
on the Steelers, which they had like Minka back there, and like they had other stars out there, but he still held his ground, like dominated that side of the field. So I just think he should have made the list hands down. I mean, I don't know if it's just because he was on the Browns for most of it and they weren't really looked at as like a lot of Raiders weren't like back in like the 2000s with Nnamdi on the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like people wouldn't really look at him just because he played for the Raiders.
I think what it probably came down to was that Darrell Revis had 2 first All-Pros and 4 Pro Bowls in this decade. I don't know how much did Joe Hayden have. Only 3 Pro Bowls and no first All Teams. You got a second team All-Pro in the Pro Bowl.
And I think that just has to do with him playing on the
Browns.
Like
Browns.
look at the numbers don't lie, dude. Like he's killing it in this decade. In this last decade, he killed it. Like best corner, like arguably one of the best corners with Sherman and Patrick Peterson.
Even he had 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not even a Pro Bowl.
Yeah. See, It's just because he played, and that was his rookie year. He had 6 interceptions his rookie year, and it's like it's just because he plays. It's just because he plays for the Browns. I mean, that could be made for Alex Mack he played for the Browns his first, however many years. So maybe that's why he didn't get some first teams. But at the same time, like, I don't know.
But Frank Gore played for us when we were at our stinkiest. Like, the Niners fucking sucked when Frank Gore was on there. I mean, he went on to some better teams, but
it's also like that's the Niners, It's like they're still gonna get their shine. Like even when the Lakers in the NBA were dog shit for those years, everyone was still looking at them because they're the Lakers.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do have the list of NFL's top 10 snubs for the All-Pro team or All-Decade team. You guys ready for number 1?
Yeah. Start from 10.
Start from 10? Okay. What do we got? 10, Jason Witten.
Okay.
I can see that.
Okay.
But I, when it comes to Travis Kelce and Rob, no.
No, exactly. Andrew Whitworth for number 9.
Okay.
They're really stinky. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump to number fucking 4. They're really stinky until you get to the top. Who gives a fuck about the lower half? Number 4 is actually a coaching pick. They have Andy Reid.
I can see that.
That actually was going to be something I said. I think Mike Tomlinson deserves it over Pete Carroll. I know this. I think Mike Tomlinson.
I don't just because Carroll did go to 2 Super Bowls?
I want to say 2 Super Bowls,
couple NFC championships, and I mean his team's still
in that small spread though. But it
now.
was like as if how many NFC championships did the Steelers go to?
It was on Pete Carroll's back that they did that.
And then because he winning the division, but in such a sorry time when Mike Tomlinson had to defend against Baltimore's defense every year. It was like smash mouth. And then the Bengals even had a really good defense. It was like,
but even Pete Carroll had to go against that Niners defense, like back when they had Willis and Bowman, Alden Smith.
I feel like that. Yeah, but that was like for like 3 years. The thing is like. For me, it's like, look, we get it. Like, Pete Carroll got to 2 Super Bowls, all right? But he also did kind of lose one.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Pete Carroll lost the Super Bowl. You're right.
He literally
kind of lost it.
He lost it. No, kind of. He was like, hey, I want my quarterback. I want my quarterback to throw it.
Oh, what year was the Steelers-Arizona Super Bowl?
I think that was 2010.
So then he also did 2 Super Bowls, lost one.
But is 2010 considered? No, yeah, it would be considered this.
It was the 2009 season.
2009.
So I don't know if that would. I don't think it counts as a 2010 title.
We're getting that fucking technical on this. We're like,
I feel like look at because the Steelers have been in the playoffs every single year except for like maybe 2 years on this decade.
And the only reason why the Seahawks were in the playoffs for the most of those times was because of the sorry division.
Exactly. I'm not going to lie about that. 100%.
So.
But, I mean, they did have to beat teams in the playoffs to get there.
Yeah, but I mean.
But that only happened during the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, that was it. You know?
Yeah.
That was my like, I think Mike Tomlinson should have been. But then that's why I was like, did they have to choose one AFC coach and one NFC coach? Because then at that point, then this is true. It's Bill Belichick. Is 100% the greatest coach of this decade. For sure.
I just don't understand why they had like so many of one position and not another. Like corners, there's a shit ton of corners. Like why only 3? And why 4 running backs when there's for sure 3, and then we're debating McCoy. But exactly. And then there's like 5 receivers. Why is there only 3 corners?
Yeah.
Like to me that doesn't make. And there's like how many safeties? Like 5 safeties, 6 safeties that made it?
Yeah, I think there's
3.
5.
No.
There's 3 and then the 2 DBs.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know why like DBs like one of the most played positions along with like receiver and and it's like why only 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else is on that list, Brad?
Number 3 is Terrell Suggs.
I actually was thinking about that, but then considering who we have at rushers, we have Von Miller, Khalil Mack, right? Then we have Chandler Jones. It's like it starts getting tough, you know. Like,
See, again, like that's the same thing. Why do they only have 3? I think there's 4 middle linebackers.
yeah, exactly. You should do like 2 for 4 of them, 2 for each side, and then
And that's kind of tough. Because you could debate all three of those edge rushers came from the AFC.
no, I'm not saying I'm not saying conference. I'm just saying like 2 for each side, like say left rusher, rusher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a right, left end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they only did 3. That's really weird.
Yeah.
At number 2, we've got AJ Green.
Let me see the receivers.
Yes and no. Like,
Get space.
No. Hold on.
It's.
I think. Hold on.
I mean, he doesn't beat Julio. He doesn't beat Larry. He doesn't beat Antonio.
Hold on though.
Yeah.
Hold on though. Larry Fitzgerald, bro.
No, don't give me that.
Don't
Hold on.
give me
No.
that. You in the wrong show if you
Hold on.
trying to convince me that Larry Fitzgerald.
Decade since 2010. Okay, since 2010.
He is the Vince Carter of the NFL. No
That
matter
doesn't mean
what
shit.
decade it is,
I don't
he's
care.
amazing.
No, Larry Fitz has had half the years where he did absolutely nothing in this decade. AJ Green, since he got into the league, was a star since he got in the league. Made a Pro Bowl every single year except last year because he got hurt.
Yeah, but AJ Green also fucked up both mine and Gabe's fantasy teams this year, so that's why he didn't make the list.
This is 100% true. So 11 Pro Bowls. He's had
No.
hold on. He's had hold on.
It's
I think
7 in the
6
last decade.
in this decade. He's had a second all team in this decade. He's been the reception leader in this decade.
How many touchdowns? Give me his touchdowns and his yards for the decade.
Bro, we all know it's going off of records. Let's face
No,
it. That's
no,
what the tangible things is.
That's not. Yeah, but no. Give me his.
But AJ Green has 7 Pro Bowls.
Give me a stat.
3 second all-time pros.
Look at AJ Green since he entered into the league in 2011. All right, and that's not even. He didn't play last year. Okay.
Yes.
So with those stats, he has 8,907 yards and 63 touchdowns. All right. Like, come on, man. Like, no, don't give me that. Well, Larry Fitz was great early in his career too, but after they lost Kurt Warner, he was like hit and miss per seasons.
Well,
They got
look at his quarterback.
Exactly, but DeAndre Hopkins wasn't like that. DeAndre Hopkins is quarterback proof. I'm not debating how great he is. I'm just saying that look, AJ Green with Andy Dalton was amazing from the get-go. I feel like AJ Green deserved that.
But he fucked up our fantasy season. Don't you understand? I'm going to keep coming back to that.
Brad, you released him, and then for like a quick second, you're like, oh shit, what I do? And you picked him up real quick.
Yeah, and then I traded him to Gabe like a week later.
That's true.
Yeah, that was dumb. Well, at the number 1 spot, what's up?
No, I was going to say, what was the number 1?
Yeah, it's fucking Drew Brees, which
Yes.
makes sense. That
So
makes
you-
sense.
Why
You
not
have
3 quarterbacks?
Yeah, I agree.
Why?
But if you're-
They have what? 3+ of everything else, but not quarterbacks.
Well, obviously Drew Brees isn't beating Tom Brady on the list for sure.
I was gonna say you should put Breeze over Rodgers, but that's just me. But
I mean,
but
they're
I was gonna say, but the argument could be made that Drew Brees did miss the playoffs like 4 or 5 times in this decade. So
yeah, and
But he also threw for 5,000+ yards
yeah, but for what? He
a
didn't
bunch
do
of
shit.
times.
He didn't shoot. He didn't do shit with it. Though.
he topped 5,000 yards 4 times in this decade.
Yeah.
But at the same time, all 3 of those quarterbacks are fucking Hall of Famers. Without a doubt, all 3 of them are going in.
They
It's-
each.
And I think that's why you need to put Drew Brees in there as well.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
just like 3 quarterbacks, man. I'm asking for 4 corners and 3 quarterbacks.
Sounds
I
like you're
know.
trying to hand out some participation trophies up in here.
Hey, but they got 2
Cutthroat in
punters
this
and 2
list.
kick. Right? They got 2 punt returners, 2 kick returners, right? They couldn't just put one of each of those. Like, come on. Yeah.
I mean, from
Why
what
don't
I
they
could
put
read,
like Percy Harvin out there?
No, I don't think he deserves to be on there. 100% he doesn't. Not to the people that made the list.
Honorable mention.
Oh, actually,
I
one
do-
that you did miss, Brad, was DeMarcus Ware.
I feel like he was on the list. I just skipped him. Yeah, he's at number 6.
Who's number 5?
Cameron
I
Wake.
know.
Oh, okay, fine. We're just going through the whole list now. Fuck it.
Go
Cameron
through.
Cameron Wake was number 5.
I think he should have been on the
All right,
list.
who's number 8?
Number 8's Dez Bryant.
Oh,
Oh,
100% he should not have been on that list.
Oh, I'll
I'm
give you a
glad-
hint for number 7. Let's see if you can guess it.
all right.
Oh, let's see if you can guess it, Gabe. Come on, what do you got?
What are
No?
you doing?
What do you got?
The celebration, his celebration touchdown?
He's doing something. I don't know what
Oh,
the hell you're
it's a receiver.
It's
Receiver?
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton.
Ooh, I'm
That's his thing. He goes like this every time he scores. I know because
Who?
of Madden.
Oh my god.
T.Y.
Yeah, it's T.Y.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's T.Y.
No.
Gabe Brad just said it.
Yeah, he should not have been on that.
The answer is T.Y. Is it T.Y.? Is it T.Y.? No! you
It is
dipshit.
T.Y.
You
It
fell
is
for
T.Y.
It is T.Y. I don't think T.Y. and I don't think Dez.
No, 100%.
That's why I skipped the bottom half of this list. 'cause they
Maybe
suck.
DeMarcus Ware. I think that's the one that I
And
would give.
Cameron Wake. And Cameron Wake. I think if you can make an argument for DeMarcus Ware, you can make one for Cameron Wake.
Well, remember this from next decade. We're just going to start at number 6 and work our way up then.
All right, guys. That wraps up another episode of It's a Mic Full. Here, we're always trying to give you the discussions and news and updates that you guys want to hear. Also, check us out on YouTube at A Mic Full Podcast, as well as iTunes and Spotify. We are under A Mic Full as well there. Also, check out our Instagram that's coming soon. We should be able to have all information there in the bio and news and updates for our latest episodes, which brings us to something special coming this Sunday. Johnny, you want to tell them about it?
Yeah, guys. So just a friendly reminder, we'll be live streaming over on our YouTube channel, a Mic Full Podcast, this Sunday at 1:00. It's going to be the usual 4 of us, me, Gabe, Jaime, and Brad, and we'll be joined by our friend Brian. So come check us out. Hope to see you guys there.